just off the beaten path of the bourbon trails in Kentucky. We're taking a look at Starlight Distillery just up the road in Indiana. From their choose your own adventure practices as it comes to barrel selections that you might have or whiskeys released in your all's markets or at the gift shop, we're exploring different types of cooperages, different types of toast levels, and different types of finishes that make this Starlight Distillery unique. For those that have not tried Starlight yet, if choice is what you want, choice is what you're gonna get. Join us to find out a little bit more here on Seelbach.
Starlight Distillery was founded back in 2001, but we're actually much older than that. We were founded back in 1843 by my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, Simon Huber. He came across from Baden-Baden, Germany and settled this original property under actually winemaking. Like great-great-great-great-grandpa really wanted to focus under some distillation, but mostly for brandy. The Ohio River Valley historically was actually a fruit-producing region, not a grain-producing region early in that time. So naturally, all the winemakers settled here, and throughout the generations, we've produced phenomenal brandy. But in 2001 is when my dad officially started the Starlight Distillery, and it took us until 2013 to actually start producing our bourbon and rye. In 2001, we really started going after this terroir-driven brandy. So the sense of place is what terroir means, but we really want to focus under what we do best here at Starlight, which was fruit farming. So we were making eau de vie, strawberry eau de vie, peach eau de vie, apple eau de vie, and eventually as we aged those products out, we had our flagship apple brandy and our flagship grape brandy in multiple infusions that we now sell today. But we really wanted to focus on our brandy production. And it took us, like I said, until 2013 to really start producing whiskeys. We are very blessed that we had a mentor, Dave Pickrell, and Lisa Wicker and my father got together and really established what Starlight Distillery was, an actual whiskey distillery. Until 2014, 2015, we were putting out 2-year-old whiskey, and it took us until 2016 to start with our 4-year-old juice. And then nowadays we are having anywhere between 4.5 now to 9.5-year-old straight bourbon and straight rye whiskey. When you're talking about what makes Starlight so unique and what makes us the craft whiskey distiller of the year for the Ascot, Double Gold in San Francisco, it's really our farm to bottle philosophy. Starlight, like I said, we're farm to bottle. We really want to showcase our fields, our farmers, our grain, and our sustainability. So today, as we ride around across these cornfields, these rye fields, you're really going to understand that it's a sense of place. Starlight Distillery is named after Starlight, Indiana, which we were a town, but now a township. So as we're talking about Starlight, we're talking about the town and the place. And we named the distillery after the farmers here in the town. So again, it's all about agriculture. It's all about that sense of place. So at Starlight, like I said, everything is from this township for most of the year, and we're fully transparent. Mother Nature doesn't play nice some years, and some years we might only be 80% from Starlight, Indiana. Some years we're up in the 90s. Some years that are terrible, we're down in the 70s. But it's all about sourcing from here first and making sure people know that this is an agricultural-based product. Whenever you open that bottle of Starlight, you know it's from our family and you know it's from this place, right? It's not sourced. It's not a rebottled independent bottler. And that's what we're proud about with Starlight. It's uniquely us, and that's what makes Starlight so special. Here in the United States, I will say Starlight's probably one of the more different approaches to oak than a lot of other craft distilleries and a lot of heritage distilleries. We actually use 7 main cooperages in our single barrel program as of this year. There's 10 cooperages in total that we source from right now for the Starlight program. Every cooper is going to have its own, flavor profile they source from. ISC, Kelvin, Canton, Zach, Speyside, just to name those off the top of my head, but they're all very unique. A char 4 from each one of those cooperages are going to be totally different. Their way they char, if it's actually a wood or if it's a kiln dried, is it heavy toasted then charred, or if it's just flat out charred. All that has a flavored profile differentiating. So when you just hear char 4, it doesn't mean just char 4. Every cooper is going to be a little different based on their temperatures, and that's what makes it so unique. So for us at Starlight, we get a lot of different profiles based on using different cooperages. So if I took one run of Starlight, say we take that 500-gallon pot still, and I put all 10 barrels from the same exact run at the same exact proof, 4, 5, 6 years down the road, I could blind taste everybody on it, and no one would pick that they were the same whiskey even. That's how much impact these oak barrels have. And it's something as an industry that we really don't talk about, right? It's just new American oak or new charred oak. And it's crazy to me that there isn't more light on the Cooperage side of things, because it is one of the most impactful, flavor profiles that you'll have on your whiskey at this point. So that's why we use 7 different ones. Finishing barrels is something like Starlight does, I think, extremely well. I don't think anybody can ever master finishing barrels. It's so unique. Vintage to vintage variations will affect these casks. How you import them affects these casks. And the American bourbon and rye market, or the American distilling industry in general, never knew really how to take care of these casks. So me and my brother are both in the wine side of it. So we knew how to treat these ex-wine barrels and these liqueur barrels and a lot of those aspects that are a little bit more gentle than just the cognacs and armagnacs that people are sourcing. But for Starlight, we really use it to enhance our flavor profile and the depth of flavor that you're getting out of the Starlight products. We never want the finish to, take over a particular barrel. We want it to have subtle nuances within our bourbon and our rye. Last time I checked, we have 32 different SKUs of finishing cask. So that goes from Tokai to sherry to port to armagnac to Brazilian Amburana for our cigar batch. A lot of different flavor profiles and a lot of different ways to combine those flavors to create very intricate blends. But finishing barrels does not mean that bad whiskey goes into a barrel. If you put bad whiskey into the finishing barrel, you're still going to get bad product out. It's not a Band-Aid for bad whiskey. Finishing barrels are something that you can elevate a particular bourbon or rye and accentuate the overall flavor profiles that you're trying for in the beginning. Starlight finishing barrels, like I said, they all vary on lengths of time. Our shortest one we have is that Brazilian Amburana. It only takes about 4 or 5 weeks to really extract that flavor profile, versus some of these lighter Tokais that might take over 18 months to really integrate into what the bourbon is or the rye is. So again, when you talk about finishing casks, it's a huge portion of what we do, but we try to do it very subtly, trying to integrate the whiskey and the finish together to put it out to you guys, which we're super excited to see more on the way. And I wish I could talk more, but some incredible projects that are on the early horizon for Starlight. In 2013 was actually when we got our first copper pot still from Vendome. At that point, previous to that, we had an 80-gallon Christian Carl still from Germany, but Vendome is really where we put our money into when it came down to whiskey stills. And they make some of the best stills in the world. I really, truly believe they make the best whiskey still, period. But right now, everything's coming off a 500-gallon copper pot still designed between Rob and my father, Rob Shurik, who makes Vendome Brass and Copper. And we really designed a multi-purpose still, really ones that we could do high rye bourbon into it, high corn bourbon, but also being able to produce rye whiskey. Everything is double pot distilled here today, and our entry proof's around 108 to 125. But coming here in the future, as I'm sitting here today, we're about 4 months away from installing our brand new 18-inch continuous column still that's coming here in August, and we're really super excited about that for the extra capacity to put barrels back. But right now, everything is pot still, but going very quickly to continuous column here in the future, which will allow us to do pure pot, pure column, and a hybrid of both. For Starlight in the future, and those who are asking, really the continuous column for us was a choice that we have found a flavor profile that we love and we enjoy. And as we move forward with that particular profile, we want to be able to replicate it. And that column still is really going to help us put more and more barrels back into these rick houses and also get some older age statement products out to you guys, which we're super excited about. Starlight Distillery is farm to bottle, family owned, sustainably grown. And what we offer to you guys is a unique representation of our family, our terroir, our whiskey, and our styles coming to you guys. And no one else can replicate that. It is what makes Starlight so unique and makes us really sought after. No one else really in the bourbon industry can claim those things. And again, we think it's so impactful to change the narrative from the distillery to the agriculture aspect, because no matter if you're Heaven Hill, Four Roses, if you're Buffalo Trace and Pappy Van Winkle, it still starts on a farm. It still starts with corn, rye, wheat, and malted barley. I mean, those 4 main ingredients makes up this entire industry. And still, it takes a lot of finesse and a lot of art in the distilling side of things. but it takes a lot of hard work and art in the field as well. And if we're going to grow as an industry, we really got to put some concrete investment into the agriculture side of our distilleries. And it goes for the cooperages too. American white oak is getting harder and harder to grow. And again, all this comes back down to sustainable farming and sustainable forestry. And that's what Starlight, we're all about. We're trying to promote the agricultural side of this industry. Craft whiskey, I mean, it's something to be said with size. Obviously, smaller is declared craft versus, the much larger heritage brands. But truly speaking, one of the heritage brands can still make some craft whiskey in the essence of single farm, single origin. So craft for me really comes down to representation of the place and the integration you have. Yes, you can make very massive amount of alcohol, and is that craft? No. But like I said, it's a sizing and time thing for me. Again, if you scale up so big and you're having so much interface, that takes it out of craft. But for me, like Heaven Hill, for instance, they did a really good job on single farm or origin, being able to track that. And they can put out labels like that. And again, that's still a crafted whiskey, so to speak. It now is Heaven Hill absolutely massive, yeah. But in the end, for me, craft is a lot to do with the time and place in the project you're working on. Starlight Distillery, once we get our 18-inch continuous column, I mean, we can produce over 10,000 barrels a year, which historically takes you out of craft. And it's one of those things for us that, we'll still be working with the individual farms, still working with those non-GMO grains, still working with the same families that we always have. It's just scaling. And so I really, truly believe craft, the conversation isn't about size, but the integrity of the small batch products that you're doing and what you're crafting.